Patreon Q&A number 74, part 2. Part 1 was released earlier today. I still want to thank all 119 of my complexly powered patrons. Guys, thank you so much. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully. Tempest asks, hey Shonen, hope you've been having a great week. Still waiting for us to get an arc on the Suiweryu training under Bang and becoming a hero. But anyways, on to the question that I'm surprised no one has ever asked as far as I'm aware. Who would win full power Watchdog Man and Overgrown Rover? I'm very curious given Watchdog Man's rank could be lower because he isn't popular outside of Q City, so he could possibly be stronger than even Darkshine, especially since we know Q City is a hotbed and he still can defend the whole thing by himself quite easily. We've never seen him push to a fight, even fight seriously. So I would love to hear how you think that fight would play out. Have a great week and keep up the absolutely amazing content. Hey, thank you so much, Tempest, and I hope you're having a good week too. So, I mean, it's difficult to say if Watchdog Man could take him because we'd have to be really generous with Watchdog Man's power there because Overgrown Rover is one of the strongest high dragons, and that would mean that Watchdog Man would have to be one of the strongest high dragons as well to even begin to take him down by himself, and we just haven't seen any evidence supporting that yet, like no feats or even some lore on him, honestly. I think the furthest I can put him right now, and kind of being generous, is like mid-dragon level, and that would not be enough to take down Overgrown Rover. But it's also possible that he might be able to tame Rover way easier than like everyone else, because obviously he's Watchdog Man. He's probably really good with dogs, considering he's like acts like a friggin' dog. So instead of even fighting him, I think it's possible that he just straight up tames him. Like, he doesn't even have to like discipline him, like with the whole punch and sit stuff like that. Maybe he could just like do some Caesar Milan stuff on him and then just tame him that way. Bryan asks, hey Z, congratulations on 50k. I came around 20k and glad to see the channel grow. Not to crap on anyone else, but you make content a lot better than most of the bigger anime channels. Hey, thank you so much, Bryan. I don't know how truthful that is, but I do appreciate your kind words. First, I want to ask you, what do you think the inspirations behind the Monster Association cadres? In the first season, we see Vaccine Man is similar to Piccolo. Beefcake looks like a colossal titan. So I can't tell if one drew inspiration from somewhere for most of the Monster Association and thought maybe you know. So, yeah, those, in the beginning of the series, we do see a lot of parallels to existing characters and inspirations and stuff like that. But the Monster Association, I think, is different, especially the cadres. Like, he started to come more into his own possibly around that time. And just looking at them surface level, I just only really see comparisons with like Black S and Majin Buu, honestly. I mean, they are very similar. Obviously, you know, they have the little head tentacle thing, and they have the splitting ability and the regeneration stuff. And I'm thinking that's definitely where he drew inspiration. But for the rest of them, I'm not really too sure if they're as concentrated as that one. Second question, what's your favorite non-battle manga / anime? So I'm not really too much into non-battle manga and anime stuff like that. But I mean, I guess if it is considered non-battle manga or anime, I guess Akira. The graphic novel is incredible. The movie's pretty good too. It's kind of like a condensed version of the first novel, but I really like that. Other than that, I'm not really too much into like other stuff. Like I said, I randomly watched Love is War Kaguya-sama, and that was pretty good. P.S. I'm caught up to the My Hero anime. I want to start the manga. What chapter do I go to? Maybe like chapter 169. I'm pretty sure that's where it's left off at. Crusader Deus Vult as Deus Vult King Ultra Kame Z God. Man, it is I, Crusader. I hope you are having a good day, and just know your content makes a ton of people happy. My first question is, do you think Metal Bat could beat the Nomu that fought All Might? I think he could. Maybe. I mean, he's ridiculously fast. I think he's way faster than Metal Bat, faster than Garo that fought him. So it would be really difficult for him to keep up with that. Also, his shock absorption is presenting a really bad matchup with Metal Bat here. But, you know, always it comes into consideration with fighting Metal Bat. It's like, how far could he be pushed? How powerful would he become? There's so many unknown variables with him because we have seen him do it before, but he hasn't really ever gotten the job done. Like, he couldn't defeat Hero Hunter Garo, and I know that the match ended contentiously, but he also couldn't take down Under Centipede, which also kind of ended contentiously as well. So there's so many unknowns with Metal Bat. So just for now, I would say that the USJ Nomu would probably be able to defeat Metal Bat without giving him too much leniency with his powering up abilities. Second question is, will God have subordinates that the other heroes fight as Saitama fights God? If Metal Bat's sister got hurt, I think he'd become God mode. Also, the 11th Crusade is upon us. So I actually talk about this in how One Punch Man will end video that I made. I theorize that God's probably going to have like some kind of Akatsuki, Espada type group with him. You know, he's going to make like a whole bunch of dudes way more powerful than Homeless Emperor, and I assume that that's who's going to fight like the S-Class or whoever the main cast of powerful characters are at that point. So I do think that's going to happen for sure, and I really hope that Metal Bat is a part of that so we can see his full potential. Dino W asks, hey, Shonen got some pretty boss chapters from One Piece, One Punch Man, and My Hero Academia this week. Thanks for covering them all. Your content's awesome. Hey, thanks, Dino. I appreciate you checking it out. My question is, could Izuku, in the stage that he is in after training with Endeavor, take on the Seafoal from the One Punch Man Season 1? I feel like that he could, as long as he doesn't run out of time before the rain starts, because then it'd be a total wash. So if you're talking about the Sea Folk that like fought Stinger and stuff like that, totally. I think he could take care of those. I think 20% full cowling is probably enough to deal with those type of enemies. But if we're talking about like Deep Sea King, there's no way that currently he would be able to take on him. And then the rain coming into account with them, I think maybe he'd still have the ability to take them down. It's really unclear how much more powerful they become. Like, do they go from like wolf or tigers to high tigers or something like that? I would still give him the edge there. My second question is, what are your top 5 favorite scenes from the Marvel movies? So this is a good question. So number 5, I've got Doctor Strange versus Dormammu. I mean, it's technically a fight scene, I guess, but I just love this. It's so different, and it's such an excellent way to end that movie, to have like the big fight in such an original way, honestly. Number 4, the Captain elevator fight from Winter Soldier. That's incredible. And then also from the same movie, Cap and Black Widow versus Bucky. Like, I think that's the first time that they fight him. That's one of the best fight scenes in all of the MCU easily. And then Cap and Bucky versus Iron Man from Civil War. So iconic. And then my favorite all time is easily Everyone versus Thanos on Titan. I watched that from time to time, like every like month or so. I think it's like near perfect. Flashy Flash asks, hey Shonen, sorry it's very short again. No problem, Flash. My first question is, how will USJ All Might do against all the high dragons in One Punch Man? I think he will stop at Bang. So I think he would do pretty good against a lot of them, but I mean, it's really unclear if he's able to stop them all. Like, I'm really like, Bang, that's questionable, because would his skill completely overcome a powerhouse like that? It's very possible. I mean, he was able to stop Darkshine in sparring, so maybe he could stop All Might as well, considering that All Might's definitely not as skilled as Bang, but has more power, I think. Goketsu is another questionable fight that I have going into that. Elder Centipede as well. Like, could he crack Elder Centipede's carapace? Maybe, maybe not. Evil Natural Water is another unknown. Black S as well. But outside of those, and then Flashy Flash, I think he would probably have success against a lot of them. Although, like, his speed comes into question, as well as like his overall output of power, like being able to vaporize Black S or cracking Elder Centipede and just wiping out Evil Natural Water altogether. My second question is, how would you rank all of All Might's smashes? So number 5, we got the American Villain smash from the beginning of the Two Heroes movie, and then number 4, when he smashes the Sludge Villain. Number 3 is when he defeats Wolfram at the end of the Two Heroes movie with Izuku. That was incredible. Number 2, United States of Smash. It's iconic, and typically people would have that at number 1, but my number 1 favorite is when he smashes the USJ Nomu with the Vestige power-up and knocks him into the stratosphere. That is my favorite all-time smash. My second question is, what are the disaster levels of all of the Class 1A students? Thanks, bro. So I have them all listed here. I think they're more or less accurate, and I'm just equating them to the One Punch Man world, not necessarily the My Hero one. Furukizu K asks, hey, Shonen just joined the $8 club. Hey, thanks, Furukizu. I've got another idea for you. Given your talk on the limiter, do you think that Metal Bat's fighting spirit could work on the same mechanism that Saitama and Garo did? A temporary level boost, if you will. It definitely seemed like some of the sort of death, rebirth, Zenkai boost was going when he was going to land that final hit on Garo. If that is the case, do you think he could break his limiter temporarily, possibly even permanently, if he was pushed far enough using fighting spirit? So this is an interesting question, and there's so many, theories and speculation surrounding what's going on with Metal Bat. Now, I do think it's tied to the power system that everyone else is pulling from. I think it's all coming from the same place. But he's kind of like in a weird spot because it seems like he only temporarily gains power boosts. That's whatever, special inherent ability his fighting spirit allows him to do. And considering that one said some good things about it, but the data book says that when his anger approaches its maximum, his power can go to infinity. That could be implying that maybe he can remove his limiter if he's pushed far enough, but then, or maybe not remove it, but maybe break it, and then it'll like you're saying, temporarily. I think he possibly could do something like that, or at least that's what one maybe is hinting at with him. I wouldn't really be surprised if that's a possibility, considering that we actually, kind of have some evidence to support it. I could definitely see Metal Bat being used as a device for one to fully explore the limiter in a way that are repeatable and observable characters for the rest of the story. Maybe that could be Metal Bat's ultimate buff or technique, perhaps. Yeah, I agree with you. I would like to see that. How do you think Full Metal Alchemist's father would do in the One Punch Man verse, both before and after he absorbed God? What disaster level do you think he'd be assigned? Who do you think he could beat? So, I'm not too familiar with Full Metal Alchemist, but I did read all the feats that he listed, and I watched as many clips on YouTube as I could, and he's pretty powerful, both before and after, but I'm not inclined to think that he's like God level. I don't think. I mean, yeah, he has some pretty significant abilities, but the farthest I see him going is like above Dragon. Yeah, the characters in Full Metal Alchemist are pretty powerful, and he does very well against fighting all of them at the same time, but I don't think they're like cadre level at that. So I'm just taking a guess, seeing him like be able to compete against characters like that. I don't think he'd be too much higher than like what a high dragon is, possibly. I mean, I could be wrong because I'm only going off of limited information, but just my opinion. Geruda asks, hey Shonen, you missed my question last week, but it's all good. Hey, I'm sorry about that, Geruda. Feel free to ask an extra question next week and I'll answer it, no problem. What disaster level would you give Prime All for One, assuming he of course enters into the One Punch Man universe? I know that we don't know too much info on him, but considering how strong the weak version was during the last fight with All Might, he must have been ridiculous. Yeah, he was ridiculous. So we actually get like a small glimpse of him in the bonus chapter, All Might Rising. They actually made an OVA out of it, thankfully. It was only like 2 minutes long, but we got to see just one pretty much panel of what he was doing. And it looks like he was like, I don't know, like controlling an entire city, like manipulating the environment around it and just using it all to his advantage. It was pretty insane. I mean, it was like reminiscent of what Wolfram was doing at the end of the My Hero 2 Heroes movie, but even greater than that. And also he was able to generate like some kind of like, I don't know, energy explosion or something that looks like it was destroying an entire city or whatever island they were on or whatever. That's some serious power. And also, considering that he was able to go toe-to-toe with Prime All Might to push him to high difficulty, he had to be above Dragon at the minimum. Just taking a guess here, but he was ridiculous, like super ridiculously powerful. And also, like, Gran Torino says that the nerfed All for One that we see fight in Camino, that was like, he said he was using a completely different set of quirks and moves. So that wasn't even beginning to like really show what he was fully capable of in his prime. Also, do you think Dabi will get support gear to help with his flames? I'm unsure, because like the support stuff was set up from like Redestro owning Detonarat, but then they haven't really gone into it yet. So hopefully he'll have something like that, including like the rest of the League of Villains. Maad P asks, hey Z, you said you're a fan of the theory that Genos is the Mad Cyborg and that Dr. Kuseno is well aware of it. However, in chapter 40, when Genos asks for the G4 upgrades and tells Kuseno about Saitama's instructions and give him break into the top 10 of the S-Class, Kuseno says, more importantly, Genos, have you found any leads to the Cyborg? And seems disappointed Genos has been focusing all of his time studying under Saitama instead of looking for the Mad Cyborg. If Kuseno knows that Genos is the Mad Cyborg, wouldn't he be happy that Genos has found a distraction? What possible motive could he have for trying to get the Genos back on the hunt for something that doesn't actually exist? Doesn't it make more sense that the Mad Cyborg is something else entirely? So please check out my updated video on this subject. It's called The Mad Cyborg, A Deeper Look, or whatever I named it. But I originally thought that Genos was the prime suspect before we got all the developments on Drive Night and organization and all of that stuff. Now, that sequence I talk about specifically in the new video when Dr. Kuseno says like, hey Genos, have you had any new leads on the Mad Cyborg? And he says that right after he observes the G4 parts or the organization robot parts that he gave him, and it made me think that Kuseno is aware of what those parts are, because he's like, these are, how did you get these, Genos? And it makes it seem like he knows what they are. So I assume that maybe he had a hand in creating them or something like that. I mean, it's really odd that Kuseno knows a lot of intricate details about the Mad Cyborg and was chasing him in the first place. So I'm thinking that Dr. Kuseno possibly made Drive Knight, and I probably think that Drive Knight is the Mad Cyborg. But at the same time, I also think that it's a possibility that Genos is, but I'm more inclined to think that Drive Knight is the Mad Cyborg and Dr. Kuseno possibly created him. Mr. Awesome asks, hey Z, what's up? My first question is, how do you think a 1v1 between Tank Top Master and Mirio with permeation would go? So I think Mirio is probably more skilled, more perceptive, and probably more or less has maybe better reflexes than Tank Top Master. And I think he could avoid most of his shots and everything and just permeate his way around him. But ultimately, like, Tank Top Master might be way too durable for Mirio's strikes, because that's ultimately all he has. And he is definitely, you know, just as strong as Izuku, using like maybe 10% of full caling, which is obviously in a superhuman level. But would that be enough to take down Tank Top Master? Maybe. It would be like a war of attrition at that point, so maybe Mirio could come out on top. My second question is, where do you think Eneru's character is going? I mean, the last time we saw him, he went to the moon and took that ish over. How do you think he will be reintegrated into the story? And what do you think he was up to during the time skip? Anyway, Shonen, look forward to your next video. You rock. Hey, thanks, Mr. Awesome. You rock as well. So I think Eneru is definitely coming back. There's a reason why Oda set him up the way that he did. He was able to get on the Arc Maxim, go to the moon, take it over, find out about the history of the moon, which is directly tied to the history of the world. And I think that's going to play some point into the Void Century. It might have some relation to the Celestial Dragons and all that stuff. But I think it's very possible that Eneru is maybe tied to Uranus, because we know Pluton and Poseidon. We know what those two ancient weapons are, and the last one that we haven't gone into yet is Uranus. And like, Pluton is the ship, Poseidon is Shirahoshi. So it's possible that Uranus is like a sky fortress or some kind of like big ship or something, which has yet to exist in the One Piece world. And maybe Eneru has that, or has access to it, or knows more about it. I mean, he's going to come back into the story for sure, and it might have something to do with that. Oscar B asks, hey Shonen, I hope you had a great week. It's been pretty good. I hope you have too, Oscar. Some of the latest updates from Seven Deadly Sins. Meliodas, with help from the Sins, created an attack strong enough to destroy all of Britain. So my question is, what disaster level would you give him should he enter the One Punch Man universe, and what high-level monsters could he take on? He has ability which allows him to deflect any non-physical attack. Physical attacks being punches, swords, slashes, etc., no matter how strong. Back at its owner twice the power, with some delay between every use. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So I don't know too much about Seven Deadly Sins, but I have heard of his counter, I forget what it's called, reflect or something attack. And the whole thing about how no matter how strong it is kind of bothers me. I would like if there was more of an in-depth explanation as to what's going on with that, which means that, like, if Saitama Sirius punched him, or if, I don't know, Ultra Instinct Goku or Jiren, like, did a full power attack at him, then in theory, I guess he could just deflect it back with twice the power with no, like, drawback to it. There's no limit to it. I mean, I know there's delay between every use, but, like, he can just, like, if a universe-busting attack was shot at him, he can deflect it back, and then it would be twice the power of a universe-busting attack. It's like if Zeno tried to erase him, he could deflect that back at him, and then it would be twice the power of Zeno's eraser. Like, I mean, there's just, I don't know, this is just kind of problematic for me. I would like if there was more of an explanation for it, but if there is truly no limit to him, and this is an omnipotent attack, then I guess he's disaster level god, honestly. But if we're not even taking that into consideration, like, his ability to destroy a country is ridiculously powerful. Like, that's above dragon right there, maybe even god level. But that's all I can really comment on. I don't know too much about Meliodas outside of that stuff. Your content really helps me every week, and I thank you for everything you do for your fans. Have a great week and see you next week. Peace. Hey, thank you so much, Oscar. I appreciate your support, my friend. ShadowBatX asks, what's happening 50,000 times stronger, ZD Honen? Great videos this week, especially the one that Saitama, if he didn't remove his limiter. However, you got to mention one small critical detail. You forgot to mention that he looks like a younger version of the bearded worker, aka Blast, aka alternate version of Saitama that exists in the same timeline as current Saitama. You know it's true. You should make a video about that. So if Darkshine were to hit Pre-Will Garo with surprising Super Ally Bazooka, do you think it would have killed him? Murata did say that if Garo was hit by Metal Bat's surprise attack, he would have died. So do you think that Darkshine's final move could kill Garo if he wasn't paying attention, or knock him out like what Orochi did? So I'm thinking that maybe it wouldn't kill him, or maybe even not even knock him out, because it's like, is the Super Ally Bazooka stronger than the tackle that he gave to Garo? Now, it is a named move, and the tackle isn't named, so does that mean it's stronger? It's hard to say, honestly, because we don't really have a good grasp of what the bazooka could have did if it didn't collide with Garo's fist, which was obviously strong enough to withstand it. So when you mean pre-woke Garo, are you talking about the Garo that's fighting Darkshine currently, or do you mean like the Garo that fought Orochi? Because there is like a small difference in their power. But I think regardless, it would wreck him. It would mess him up for sure, but I don't think it would kill him. And it's really debatable if it would have even knocked him out, but it certainly would have did some serious damage, like similar to the tackle. Most definitely. Last question. How do you think Awakened Garo is going to look like? At first, I thought that him with the covered up burn marks and the clothes was going to be his final form, but then unlocked his perfect form. However, it mostly came off while fighting Darkshine. Do you think rubble and blood will start to cover him when fighting Golden S, which will slowly change him to Awaken, or the injury where he is impaled by Orochi will slowly coat his body like a symbiote? Now that I think about it, it's kind of symbolic. Garo's skin is clean, showing us the last time we will see him as a human, and the monster-infected injury will consume him slowly, that he chose to be a monster over his humanity. Anyways, thanks for the content, and have a great for the rest of your month, Shonen. I truly mean that this time. Hey, you too, ShadowBat, and I mean it this time as well. So, I'm thinking that Awakened Garo is probably going to look like this, and this is the fan art that I like to use a lot, because it's just so good. I think it lines up with like exactly what he's going to look like. I'll have the link to this artist in the description. He did a really good job on this one. It's kind of like what his body looks like after he wakes up from Orochi, but then I think the head and the horns are just really spot on to what Murata is probably going to do with this design. Tesuca Bra asks, hello, Shonen, been a viewer for almost a year now and finally decided to pitch it. Love the One Punch Man analysis vids. Hey, thank you so much for your support, Tesuca Bra. I really do appreciate it. So I have a match for you. Since you've already done Darkshine versus USJ All Might and Darkshine versus Nomu, how about Carnage Kabuto versus Nomu? So this is, I think, super competitive, and it's more difficult to say than the other ones, because we're going to just scale, just for the sake of this argument, Carnage Kabuto to like slightly below Darkshine, and then the Nomu would be, you know, around that level too, considering that I think USJ All Might could probably take Darkshine, but, you know, not like a complete wash or anything. But man, it's like shock absorption, regeneration, crazy speed, crazy strength, versus Carnage Kabuto has crazy strength, crazy speed, probably good durability as well. Similar attack method that All Might has. And I think maybe Carnage Kabuto could maybe edge him out. I don't know. It's really hard to say, because I think this fight is just so even with both of their strength sets and speed and everything. I mean, Carnage Kabuto's feats are way more extrapolated because the sequence in Season 1 is way more extreme. But, man, I'm thinking that maybe Carnage Kabuto can overcome him. Maybe, but then, like, he'd have to overcome shock absorption and all that stuff. It's a big maybe. But, I don't know. For my second question, do you think Excel will end up fighting E-Iron in the Neo Heroes arc? Both seem to be around that almost S-class level, but not quite their range. I'm really unsure what's going to happen with either of these characters, because so far after the Monster Association ended, I think we've only seen E-Iron like one time in that chapter with Atomic Samurai versus King, so I have no idea where one wants to go with him. I think we'll probably have to wait for the manga to get some development on him. And as for Excel, same thing with him. I don't know when the Neo Heroes story is going to come back, and I don't know what's going to happen with him. As of right now, I do agree. It seems like he might be on that super high A-class level, not quite S-class level yet, based on the info that we have, but we need more context on him yet, because I think it's very possible that he also might wind up being legitimately S-class, but maybe like Tank Top Master level around there. But I would love to see him take on E-Iron. I think that would be a good match. ThighsofZeus asks, how's it going, Shonen? My question this week is why Garo isn't seen by most as stronger than Boros. He was able to grow into above Dragon while fighting Golden S. Shouldn't have followed that he would have grown to Boros' level easily. In this fight versus Saitama, he was still growing and evolving, trying to reach him, but the infinite gap between them broke his spirit and his ability. Boros' power seems infinitely more reachable in comparison. So in theory it could, but a lot of the time when we're speculating about this versus battle, or I'll say most of us, we try not to put too much liberties on what ifs or hypotheticals in saying like, well, this character is capable of this, therefore it would happen. Like, I think that's a little unfair, and most other people probably think that too. And we don't really take into consideration Garo's growth ability and that stuff. We kind of just set like a limit and a parameter to both characters. So we'll say like Awakened Garo, based off of the feats that we've seen, taking on Boros, what would happen? Or at least that's how most people look at that fight, which is, you know, one way to look at it, but there's more than one way to go about things. There's no like definitive way to like do a hypothetical versus battle, of course. But in theory, like I'm saying, he could reach Boros' level, but then it's like, would that be enough? Would Boros be able to overcome him still? Could he reach Meteoric Burst level? Would that even be enough? It's like so many variables. So that's why there's not like a definitive thing as to why people just think that Garo would beat him, you know, just cut and dry like that. A lot of things to think about with this matchup, especially when you're taking into consideration his abilities. Upgrading my membership because of all the recent One Punch Man chapter releases. So thank you so much, Thighs of My extra question is about the hype. I'm happy to see that you dive into Mob Psycho with Season 3 comes out. So imagine a 2021 where there are anime series, anime releases, Season 3 of Mob and Season 3 of One Punch Man that ends with Saitama versus Garo. Do you think your current power level will be able to handle that, or do you need another Zenkai boost to sustain the hype? Thanks, Shonen. Keep it classy. So I think I would be able to handle that. But that's like a big what if, and there's very little to no chance that that will happen. Now, it's more likely that we'll get Mob Season 3, but as for One Punch Man Season 3 happening, unlikely, and it's even way more unlikely that we would get Saitama versus Garo in that season, because it's still going to be even another year before that reaches the manga, let alone the anime. But if it did happen for some like divine reason, I would just use my Garo mid-fight power boost ability to be able to acclimate to it. The one above all patrons, Wolf Pup asks, howdy Shonen, my question is, how would the fight go down if Itachi Uchiha human form went up against full power monster Orochi? Itachi 100% full power, and Orochi is immune to his Genjutsu. If he were to activate his Susanoo wielding sword of Tesuca, an eternal sword with the ability to seal any person it pierces into the gourd, what would it be, an instant win for him, or would Orochi be too fast to evade it? How would the fight go down realistically? Please explain and why. So realistically, man, it always seems like I'm downplaying Naruto, but I'm really not. I love Naruto, guys. I'm trying to get that point across. It's one of my favorite series. I think the Fourth Ninja War is one of the best things to ever happen to battle manga. I just don't think he's enough to take down Orochi. I think Orochi would just vaporize him with one of his blasts. I mean, just like compare what Itachi is capable of. We won't even say this is like sick Itachi. We'll just say he's healthy, still can use, give him even a perfect Susanoo. I don't think it's enough to deal with Orochi's full power blast. That thing is just way too powerful for anyone who's not like 10 Tails Jinchuriki level Sage Mode stuff. It's just, just my opinion, of course. Maybe I'm overrating it, but come on, just take a look. Compare the feats. That's all I'm saying. My second question is, I don't remember what chapter it was, but when Awakened Cockroach retreats back to Monster Association after his fight with G4 Genos, Orochi kills Cockroach, and Geruda says whoever can defeat King Orochi will become the next leader of the Monster Association. What would happen if Black S took up that offer? Could the story have gone in a different direction? Let's assume Black S fought Orochi, and the Black S's managed to escape. If Orochi were to send both Monster Goketsu and Elder Centipede to eliminate Black S, could he have overwhelmed them with numbers, or would he have to go into Golden S form? This is before the war arc. Later, killing Orochi inside the mines during the war arc after Saitama dispatches Orochi. Your thoughts? So, I wanted to make a video about this, but it's probably just better to talk about it here because there's so many what-if hypotheticals to go in. But I think Black S would have to go into Golden S to be able to compete against Orochi. Going back to his crazy overpowered plasma blast that he's capable of doing, pretty sure that he vaporized Black S, like, you know, how the concentrated atomic slash was. So he would need the speed, durability, and power of Golden S to be able to go against Orochi without just being completely annihilated by him. And then it's really up in the air because we're going to have to see Golden S in the manga to really judge how full his power was. But if Black S like escaped and Goketsu and Elder Centipede went after him, I think he would have a better chance of taking down Elder Centipede by just like swarming him with like thousands of his clones that are all like really powerful and just beating him down, like covering his body. I think that would be really cool to see. Goketsu, hard to say. Could he vaporize Black S with like a full powered punch? It's possible, But I also think Golden S could definitely beat him just as much as Goketsu could beat him. But like Golden S, I think would probably whoop Goketsu. Just taking a guess, of course. And then as for him coming back after like Saitama dispatches him, that's possible too. I'd like to see that. My third question is, if all of your patrons, including me and your Patreon bucks, ate a monster cell and we all did a one-way fusion together, what would our disaster level be? Would we be stronger than all Dragon Ball Z characters? So remember, monster cells is the strong. It makes you as strong as your potential. So it's ultimately like, what's your potential, Wolf Pup? What's the potential of all of the Patreons, the patrons? I don't know myself, and that's not me trying to bait you guys. You guys honestly give me way too much already, and I'm super grateful. But you guys are already above Dragon. I mean, you by yourself are a disaster level god, so I guess you'd guys be like close to Jiren level, maybe, if you guys did this. So yeah, stronger than DBZ, yeah, because Jiren could solo that whole verse by himself. Wolf Pup, Shonen, how strong is your channel? Me, yes. Wolf Pup, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much an accurate assessment of what happened. My last naughty question is, if you had to choose a Halloween costume for the Blizzard of Hell Fubuki, who would you choose and why? Personally, I would choose a nurse costume for her. She could take care of me all day. Arigato. So I would like to see her dress up as like an Instagram fitness model. I'd love to see Fubuki like that. P.S. As the one above all who stands at the pinnacle of all Patreons, S-Class rank #1 disaster level Wolf Pup. Disaster level god Wolf Pup will say this to all of you delusional My Hero Academia fans. Awakened Garo stomps Prime All Might. Enough said. Whoa, shots fired. Especially shots fired at me, Wolf Pup. You know what? I'm just going to have to take it. Zapphod B asks, what if Orochi is still alive and does revive, but he's in a weak chibi form and becomes the pet of Saitama along with Chibi Black S and Chibi Rover? It's a possibility. But like Orochi doesn't seem to be as redeemable as Black S and Rover is. Rover's kind of innocent, it seems. Like maybe he was just a victim of monsterization through environmental factors. Maybe he wasn't inherently evil, since he is really susceptible to being tamed by whether the character is good or bad. Black S, definitely still evil. But he's more willing to comply with Saitama in order to, get back on his feet. Orochi, I think, seems to be just like a complete psychopath. And even if he was chibi, he would still probably attack Saitama or try to kill him. as contemplating his Black S. So I think if it did come to that, he would probably just be killed again. I just think it's unlikely that he would tag along, honestly. Next question, if Flashy Flash got to fight all 50 of the Ninja and Sonic, where Sonic is fully sided with the ninjas and trying to kill Flash, how might that go? Thanks for everything, Sean, and stay awesome. Hey, you too, Zapphod. You're awesome as well, my friend. So, that's a good question. And, man, I'm thinking that Flashy Flash might still be able to come out on top here. Because, man, we have to go back to him going against Saitama in that training room. I'm so impressed by that. And I'm thinking, like, if he went 100% all out, full power, I think he would probably take care of them. It would be high diff for him, but I'm thinking, like, if he wasn't holding it back against Sonic, I'm sure he could have taken care of him. And all of the ninjas, too. I mean, like, he seemed to be kind of vulnerable against Hellfire and Gale in the manga, and I know it's difficult to compare, like, Flashy in the manga to the webcomic, but man, when he really went serious against Hellfire and Gale, there was, like, such a large discrepancy between their power and speed. Like, he stopped time on them. And I'm thinking, like, he could probably do that to the ninjas and Sonic as well if he really needed to. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 119 of my attractive patrons. Guys, I can't thank you enough for all of this incredible support. It really does help me more than you know, so thank you again. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, just simply check out the Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video, and if you haven't, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.